What is up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the next episode in our Q&A. My name is Splattercat. Happy to have you here today as we hang out for a little while and answer some of your questions for me. So make sure, I gotta call you out on this. Make sure you leave your questions down below. I've noticed the questions have reached like a trickle. And so today I actually got through like all of the questions and was able to select them all. Whereas in previous episodes there were so many questions that I couldn't even filter through them. So maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. I can't really tell you, but welcome on back. We're gonna hang out for a little bit and just talk about bullshit, which is pretty much all this episode is. Anyways, I could label it bullshit, part 6. Me bullshitting for 35 minutes, and it would probably be pretty accurate, but welcome on back. Let's talk about your questions. So Jose Marquez has the first question up in here. Hey, Splattercat, I just watched all the episodes of Firefly because of you, and now I am sad that it got canceled. What other TV shows do you recommend? Oh man, there's all kinds of TV shows. I watch a lot of TV. I had a phase when I was in college where I had no money to do anything but watch Netflix, and I watch a lot of TV. So I would say, for me personally, Breaking Bad. I really like Breaking Bad. Daredevil's pretty good. I actually finally got around to watching the new Daredevil and was impressed. I think I'm going to start the Arrow pretty soon, or Arrow, or whatever it's called. Haven't watched it yet. But anyways, the ones that I would recommend here. So things to start with. I would watch Star Wars The Clone Wars, the little cartoon for kids. It's actually pretty good. It's CGI, but it's pretty entertaining. I enjoyed it quite a lot. I would say you should watch Peep Show. I would say that you could probably get away with watching Psych, which I find to be pretty good. I love The Office, both the American and the British versions. Trying to think of other things that I'd be really, really psyched about. Oh, Hell on Wheels is pretty good too. I watch Hell on Wheels pretty real. I'm a sucker for anything with like cowboys and like gunfights and like trains and six guns. I'm a big sucker for anything that's set like in the Wild West of the United States. I think it's a symptom of just growing up as an American kid where it's just entrenched into you so much that that was like the most awesome time ever in the Wild West that everybody's at least a little bit obsessed with it. So anyways, that's where I would start with. Hopefully that helps you out. That's enough viewing right there to get you covered for like a month. If you need more, let me know and I will try to line it on up for you, but those are the ones that I would start. I'd probably start with Breaking Bad first, though. Breaking Bad is so legit. It's my favorite show of all time. Keegents, or Kai-gents, or Key-gents. Hey, what did you think of the Mass Effect trilogy? I only played the first one, actually. I have all of them, but my Mass Effect 2 is still in Saran Wrap from Best Buy from when it first came out. Mass Effect 3 I have on the PC, and I have it on my Xbox 360, both still in the Saran Wrap. I played the first one, though, and the first one is actually what kicked off my fascination with sci-fi. I actually fell out of sci-fi for a while and got really into fantasy worlds, like medieval fantasy stuff for a while. And Mass Effect is what kicked me back into sci-fi, and so I very much like Mass Effect 1. It's one of my favorite games of all time. Haven't played 2 or 3, so I can't talk about those. And in my experience, it's usually best that if you don't have experience with something that you just be like, I don't know, I have nothing to say about this. And you just walk away from it. Baltazar Perez asked, did you lose weight? You know, I'm not really even sure what's going on with my weight right now. I feel like I'm getting fatter. Like, I really sincerely feel like I'm getting fatter. Because I'm eating more than ever, I'm being lazy more than ever, and I'm just, like, burned out more than ever with just, like, everything. Like, most of my leisure time is spent just kind of, like, beached on my side like a seal, like, staring at a television while shoveling, like, terrible food into my mouth. But at the same time, I'm working out, like, 3 times as much, too. So honestly, I think I'm getting heavier, but some of it might be muscle mass. I might be getting fatter, but I'm pretty sure I did not lose weight. So anyways, I don't think so, no. Lucas McLeod asks, since you're going out of town, well, that was last week, but yes, indeed, what top 5 items would be in your outdoor survival bag? So I assume what you're talking about right now is a go bag or a bug out bag. And so, for people that aren't into prepper stuff, I'm not really into prepper stuff either, but a bug out bag is essentially a bag that has, like, all of the stuff you need in order to get started, like working on just getting out of civilization, like running away in case Western civilization is failing. I personally am going to bask in it. When Western civilization crumbles, I'm going to find the mutants. I'm going to hang out with Marcus. I'm generally going to get shot. I'm probably going to die pretty early on in the whole thing. All things considered, not so good at surviving. But I figure if the whole world reverts into kind of like a weird post-apocalyptic, Wild West, everybody's tongue-in-cheek and nuclear irradiated type deal, I'll enjoy it while it lasts until I get shot and murdered by raiders. But anyways, I would say just like a multi-tool is probably a good start. I would say that, I mean, if you can fit it, let's assume that you have like a duffel bag. I've always maintained that if the world is ending, a duffel bag is not going to save you, no matter what's inside of it. But if you have a duffel bag, I would say you should probably bring a multi-tool. You should probably bring a drop point knife, something like that, something that you can actually... A gun would be great. I was going to say a knife that you can actually use to, like, clean a kill or something like that. A gun would be fantastic. A gun with, like, 100 rounds would be Like, I mean, never underestimate modern technology for surviving and hunting. You can only catch so much with snares. Eventually, you're going to need to buck a fool and take his meat. So anyways, I would say a firearm, a multi-tool, a drop point hunting knife, winter clothes. Probably pretty important right there, too. A bundle of winter clothes, a big one. It doesn't really matter if you can start a fire with your hands. If you're nude sitting next to a fire when it's like minus 30 out, you're still going to die. And so winter clothes would be good, something watertight. I mean, in general, those sort of things. A survival guide would be great, too. One of those big, all-encompassing survival guides that could teach you how to do, like, anything. Encyclopedias of survival. That'd work. Don't put it on your phone. That won't be around forever. But just little things like that. A hatchet would probably be pretty useful. It's amazing the things you can accomplish with, like, a hatchet, a hammer, and a knife. It's incredible. I mean, even with your bare hands on a rock, it's amazing what you can accomplish. But either way, all things that kind of revolve around there. Because once you have the knowledge of how to do various things, you just want to do them more efficiently. Because survival is always an exercise of how efficient you can be with your time and your calorie expenditures and tools. That's the point of a tool, is to make things easier on you. So anyways, that's probably what I'd start with. I mean, a couple gallons of water would be great, but even then, if it's hot out, that's maybe 2 days worth of water. Not going to get too far without underlying survival skills. Nameless Trooper asks, so Splat, I just got a quick question for you. In World War II, how important do you think Greece and Russia were? Well, I mean, I assume there was a lot of Greece in World War II because we had lots of, like, mechanized infantry and things. I'm just joking around with you. He's talking about the country Greece. I don't know. I've never studied Greece's contributions in World War II. It is something that I am uneducated in, therefore I am going to pass on that half of your question. As far as Russia's contributions, Russia was a major part of the Allies during that war, and I think people consistently underestimate how useful they were on the Eastern Front. They were over there and they held it out for us throughout the course of the entire war. I'm not going to talk about the whole specifics of the whole thing because honestly I'm going to get bogged down, and I don't know that much anyways, but I know enough to know that Russia was a valuable ally during that time period. Jonathan Terry asks, do you like Star Wars? Yes, it is awesome, although I'm a little bit less enthusiastic about it now that Disney has gotten it. They're retconning all the random lore and whatnot. I think that what they're trying to do is a little bit off topic here, but my love of Star Wars has actually fallen off a little bit over the last couple of years. Mostly since, like, I think it was mostly since the prequels, and then also the Disney acquisition, I think sort of was just like, for me, like, I think Disney will do right by Star Wars, but they're retconning a lot of stuff. They're going back through, and I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make a concrete boundary for, like, what the lore does and does not encompass in terms of canon. And so they're going back and they're really sort of retconning and just, like, whitewashing and getting rid of a lot of, like, the secondary sources that weren't canon, but they were sort of canon, if you get what I mean. Like, nobody really argued about it. The people that own Star Wars kind of gave it a nod, and they would sort of honor it when they went through and did other little kind of like fanfares and things like that. I think Disney is very much trying to create a diamond out of the coal that is Star Wars, a very defined, faceted thing. And in that, I think they've thrown out the baby with the bathwater a couple of times. And so I think my love of Star Wars has sort of dwindled a bit over the last couple of years. But I don't know, maybe something will revive it for me. Maybe like a KOTOR 3 or something, who knows. Britannia Gamer asks, are you excited for Just Cause 3 and will you be getting it? Yeah, actually, I already talked to Square Enix. They contacted me and they're like, hey, we've heard repeatedly that you like the Just Cause games. How would you like to play Just Cause 3 on your channel? And I was like, all right, with finger guns and everything. It was in the email. In the email, I was like, /fingerguns. Although nowadays, I guess you could do like #fingerguns, and that'd work out a little bit better. But yeah, we'll probably be playing it on the channel, and I am going to be playing it personally. Pale Rider asks, hey, Splattercat, for the next Q&A, what is your next RTS or RPG game that you will be covering? As far as RPGs go, I don't really know. RPGs are kind of a black hole genre for me on the channel. Like, every time I do an RPG, I regret it. I really sincerely do, because the viewership is just not there. RTS-wise, I've been looking at Warshift lately, and I wanted to play around with Warshift on the channel, but hadn't had time to do it. So, Warshift is one that I've been looking at. It's kind of a game where you have a mech, and so it's like a big mech warrior mech, and you command the things that happen around you real-time strategy style, but when you want to, you can jump into your mech, and you can fight people like in mech warrior mode, too, and it looks pretty sweet. So anyways, I've had an eye on that one. The next question comes from Facebones Norton. That's like a biker name right there, Facebones Norton. I don't know, it sounds like a guy who gets in a lot of fights. Anyways, hey man, I've been unhappy with my weight, but don't make enough money to eat healthy. Okay. I know you mentioned struggling with weight loss at one point. I was wondering if you had any advice. I should also add that I am physically disabled, so anything harsh on the feet is a no-go. It's very discouraging. So I didn't get a ton of information about your disability, and that's fine. You don't have to release that on the internet. So I'm just going to go from the perspective that you have problems with, let's say, just your ankles and your feet. I'll go with that right there. I'm going to assume that you can still walk. I'm going to assume that you can, like, get around. I would say that the best way to lose weight if you are trying to, is to either find, so there's a number of things you could do here. I've seen people do wonders, and I personally have done wonders just with like a pull-up bar. Like, it's amazing what you can get done with just one of those pull-up bars that goes on the door hinge up above your door. Like, seriously, that's a great workout tool. You could do core, you can do upper body, you can do shoulders, you can do all kinds of stuff with just that one piece of equipment, and they're super cheap. You can get one for like $19. Like, they are not a bad investment, and so I would start maybe right there, since that keeps it away from your feet. There are things you can do. So local pools and things like that, like public pools. I don't know what country you're in, or even if you're even, you know, in an area where there are public pools. But where I live, there's public pools, and it's like dirt cheap to go there. You can get like a season pass for like a stupidly low amount of money. Like basically the same amount of money that you would spend on the pull-up bar. And that would keep the weight off your feet because you'd be in a pool, and then you could just swim laps. And swimming is actually one of the best exercises you can do, period, in terms of calorie burn and also in terms of just getting yourself in shape. And so anyways, taking food out of the equation right there, when people always ask me, how can I keep eating the same way that I am but then also lose weight? I would just be like, well, you know, maybe tone it down a bit and get yourself sorted out as far as like your caloric intake is concerned, because I used to eat like 2,500, 3,000 calories a day, which was why I was fat. Like, I gained a lot of weight and I got really husky because I didn't understand how to budget my calories for the day. Nowadays, I don't even think about it. I just know what things are worth, and I kind of just keep a mental tally. It's not like I sit around counting calories all day, but I know that if I had like a fat lunch that was like French fries and onion rings and burgers and things like that, that I should probably take it easy on dinner and just have like a Caesar salad or something. And so anyways, taking food out of the equation, that means you just have to take up your caloric burn. And there's a lot of things you can do. I mean, if you can get a gym membership, you can do something like an exercise bike, which still incorporates your body and it keeps the weight off of your legs. It kind of transfers things into your upper thighs and whatnot. But without a little bit more information, and I don't want you to expose that on the internet, by the way, those would be the two recommendations that I would give you. Either find a public pool, get a pull-up bar, maybe think about, I mean, if you can borrow some dumbbells from somebody, you can do a lot of things with just like two 25-pound and two 20-pound dumbbells. You can do a lot from there too, whether it comes down to like push-ups and things like that. So anyways, it's hard to give very non-specific advice because when it comes to things like this, it really helps to know a person and know what their capabilities are, but those are just little things that I would spitball out there. Obviously, I would also add at the end as a caveat that you should check with a doctor if you feel like your condition is going to preclude you from certain activities, because I don't know the specificity of your situation. So I'll add that in at the end. Mr. TNT asks, hey, I love your videos. How do I get more people to come to my YouTube channel to get more views? Because I've tried everything and it's not working well. I would start out by going to /r Let's Play. So there's a Reddit for people that do Let's Plays and YouTube production. It's called /r. So /r/Let's Play. You should be able to find it if you just use /r Let's Play too. It should come up in Google. And there's a bunch of guides and wikis on there about how you can get your channel more discovered. They'll show you how to do your descriptions properly, how to do your tags properly, how to do your titles properly. Tags don't really matter that much. Learn to do good descriptions and good titles. And even with bad content, those things can carry you through pretty well. But aside from that, there's a number of little things you can do, but those are mostly going to be like too long-winded for me to get into here. You definitely want to check out the guides. There's going to be a wiki on the side of that Reddit. Lots of useful information right there, and so I would just do some deep reading and figure out ways that you can move things around with your operation and make it work a little bit more efficiently. Zarik asks, hey, Splattercat, just out of curiosity, what is your favorite sandbox survival game? Like Empyrean, Terraria, what? I like The Long Dark the best. The Long Dark is my favorite one. I'm excited to see where development is going to go with that game because they just keep making it more complicated, more deep, more intuitive. Like, everything just keeps getting better with that game. And so I can't wait to see where it goes. I actually very much like the games that don't have aliens or monsters or zombies or anything like that, because I think there's a particular loneliness and desperation that goes into just simple, bare-bones human survival. And I think Long Dark has tapped into that very, very well, and so that's my favorite game. Nath B asks, hey, do you follow the NHL? If so, what team? I don't. I don't follow the NHL. Unfortunately, I played hockey for a long time when I was a kid. I played a lot of amateur league stuff like that, but I don't follow it very much. It's not a big thing around here. I've noticed lately that people have gotten a lot more into hockey, and everybody seems to be cheering for San Jose nowadays. I got a bunch of friends now that go to the bar and watch exclusively hockey anymore. So I think there has been a concerted sort of advertising effort to make the NHL a little bit more popular in the United States, but I don't really follow it. Anymore, I follow baseball, and I occasionally follow the NFL. Like, I'll watch the NFL if it's on TV. I've been following rugby a little bit with my dad because he finally got, like, the super awesome sports package at his house, so I can watch rugby whenever I want to, whenever I go over there. there. And I love rugby. It's one of my favorite sports. I love watching it. It's just entertaining from the top down. Great, great sport. And I wish the guys that played it professionally made more money because I think they deserve it. I think it's probably one of the most athletic sports that exists, period. It's just a gnarly sport. So anyways, I like rugby. I follow it every now and again. I watched the USA-Australia game. It's fun to watch. I don't follow the NHL, though. Mostly just the MLB and the NFL for me. NemFX asks, different question. So, you said you used to be heavily into music. Will you ever post music on the channel? I don't know. Music is one of those parts of my life that I've put behind me. There's a lot of so from the time I was a very young child, all I wanted to do was music. All I wanted to do. And I experienced medium-level success in music, but then everything fell apart. And in general, I just don't enjoy music anymore because it opens up the wound, and so I tend to stay away from it. I'm the kind of person that closes the book on something and never looks back. I would like to get back into music at some point, but I don't really have time, and I'm not really sure that it would make me happy to get back into music anymore. It'd just be opening up way, way too many old books and just too many old relationships and things like that. I don't know. Maybe someday, but it's a sore spot for me, so I doubt it'll ever be on the channel. I think I could say that much with certainty. I doubt that it'll ever be up on the channel. As for me getting back into music, I felt the itch the last couple days, last couple weeks, but I just don't have time is really what it comes down to. When I was younger, I could play guitar 12 hours a day. And, when I was unemployed, I could do the same thing. And when I was playing in a band, you're, sitting around traveling most of the time, so I could play a lot then, too. Just don't have the time anymore. Just don't have the time. And I know there'd be people that'd be like, make the time. But I'm at the point right now where I'm so overbooked in life that making time means that something else goes away permanently. So anyways, Kuroth Avenger asks, what's the closest you've ever been to death? Yeah, I actually almost got hanged to death when I was a little kid. So there was a rope and an apricot tree in our backyard, and it had a noose in it. I don't remember specifically why it was there. It was there for a reason, and I can't recall why, because I was only 5 years old at the time. And so anyways, I would climb up in the tree, and I would take the rope, and I would put my foot in the bottom of the sling noose thing, and I would jump out of the tree, and I would kind of Robin Hood my way out of the tree, or Errol Flynn, get high speed up. The tree was probably about 15, 20 feet tall, and so you could get going real fast if you jumped out of the tree and just held onto the rope. And one time I wanted to kind of do it because I think I had saw Peter Pan or something like that, and I had seen how they had harnesses. And so as a little kid, little kids are dumb as shit. 5-year-olds, they're just not smart. They're not at that point yet in their development. And so anyways, in my mind, I put the noose kind of so it was butterflied around my arms, but I must have screwed it up somehow. So when I jumped out of the tree, it held me, so it didn't snap my neck. That's the best part. But what happened is when I jumped, it kind of slipped, and I'm not really sure how it happened. I don't have much of a recollection of it, aside from the fact that I ended up hanging from the tree with one of my arms through the loop, and then I was stuck with my neck with the rope right there. And I remember that, and if I grabbed onto the rope and I pulled up really hard, I could shout. And my mom was in the house, and so she saw what was happening. She ran out with a butcher knife and slashed the rope real fast. But I had a big scar around my neck until I was probably 10 or 11 years old, where it looked like somebody had slashed my throat. And then it went away as I got older. But anyways, that's the closest I ever went to dying. Almost got knifed a couple of times too when I was older, but I don't count that as being close to dying because you can run away from somebody with a knife and just be like, nope. Just F that situation and just run for it. Cameron Dula asks, how did you feel about the Mad Max ending? That's a good question, actually. The Mad Max ending was one of those things that caught me by surprise. I think people underestimate how dark that ending actually was. That was a really, really, really dark ending, and it shows the depravity and sort of just the dark place that Mad Max is in. He was willing to sacrifice somebody, just execute them outright. Kill somebody that had been on his team 100% for the entire game. Somebody that had basically helped him survive and made sure that he lived through this entire ordeal. Somebody that was down, somebody that hustled for him. And he pulled the trigger on him quick. They didn't matter for shit, just so he could, kill some guy, And so I think that that's the fundamental problem with Max as a character, is that he doesn't know how to settle. And so then he doesn't settle, and then bad things happen because he didn't settle, and then he loses his shit, and he ends up dynamiting even more stuff in his life, trying to get revenge for the fact that he couldn't settle in the first place. And I think that's one of the big things that Griffa talks about, is that he's just a mad dog. That's all that he is anymore. He fights because that's the only thing he knows how to do. He does it without purpose. He does it without meaning. He does it without motivation. He just does it because that's what he knows how to do. And Max tries to justify it by saying that he's heading to the plains of silence, But he's not going to the Plains of Silence. He makes these giant detours in his journey just to kick the shit out of people and get revenge when he could have been at the Plains of Silence a long, long time ago. And so obviously it's not about the Plains of Silence for him. He's lying to himself over and over and over again, telling himself it's about the Plains of Silence and running away, when in fact he's come to enjoy the violence and he's really sort of just lost his humanity and doesn't care anymore. Only somebody that's really, really sociopathic would burn somebody like that in the way that he killed Chum. And that was a gnarly ending that I didn't expect. I really didn't expect him to squeeze the trigger on Chum like that. And I was like, holy shit, like that went dark real fast. But I think it's important because it lets you see the real holes, the Swiss cheese nature of Max's mind and the way that he views the world as a human being, the Swiss cheese nature of his humanity, I guess. Hey, Splattercat, Valentine West asks, in a game of any genre, what do you consider to be a good balance of core visuals? Are the most realistic looking graphics a high priority, or are smooth, clean animations more important to you? Also, do you think it's possible for one or the other to ruin a game completely or not if it is favored too much or too little? Yeah, it can ruin a game, absolutely. It can ruin a game financially, for sure, because it costs a lot of money to make really good AAA photorealistic graphics, things like that. It costs a lot of money to develop really stylized graphics and something they have like WildStar as well. But I do think that stylized graphics are the best way to go if you're looking for longevity and for your game to like live forever. Cartoons will never degrade and look worse. Stylized things like WildStar or World of Warcraft, they never really start to look that much worse, because every now and again you could do a slight touch-up and add some new lighting effects, and they still look very cartoony and updated. When you go with photorealism, you're almost inevitably signing up for your game to look like shit someday and for people to be like, ew, it's ugly. Like, that is what you are signing up for. Like, even the first Crysis does not look that good anymore. But back when I was working at Geek Squad and doing IT, Crysis was like the shit. Like, people, I mean, I can remember even when Source Engine came out, people were like, Source is the greatest thing ever! And Source is definitely starting to show its age nowadays. It still looks good. I mean, they've done a great job at making sure that that engine is expansive and continues to be viable. But I remember when it first came out, I mean, you know, things age. And so I think the best goal is to go for something stylized, but don't stretch your budget out too much trying to make things look good. I mean, I love stuff like Neo Scavenger, which Neo Scavenger is super bare bones, and yet the game is functional and fun in its own way. I think that if the core game is fun, then the graphics are just icing on top of an already good cake, and so you should focus on core graphics to begin with. But then again, I still play like roguelikes and text adventures and things, so maybe I'm a little bit biased. Rever K. Barrett asks, hey, how do you keep the motivation to push forward? I'm in a really rough part of my life right now. I'm going through a trial for some ridiculous stuff that happened at my previous workplace. Okay, so it's an actual legal trial. My parents are getting divorced. It's not a metaphorical trial. My parents are getting divorced. I'm trying to find a place that's affordable to move into with my fiance, and I can't seem to find the motivation to pursue the things I want to do right now. I want to be on YouTube, but I don't want it as a career. I want to go back to school to be a teacher. It just seems as if I have no drive to pursue either one right now. Kind of just stuck in a black hole of depression and worrying. Any advice? I mean, so if you think of depression and anxiety, I've suffered with anxiety my entire life. I have really, really bad anxiety. I refuse to take the pills because they make me feel dull, and so I've decided just to be like a nervous wreck all the time instead of taking the pills. But anyways, as somebody that suffered with anxiety my entire life, if I can speak from that corner, and I think anxiety and depression sort of go hand in hand a lot of the time, like one will trigger the other. And it goes both ways, Giggity. So anyways, given that relationship between depression and anxiety, I think that so if you think of depression and anxiety as just like a dark room, the light that gets rid of that is just doing things. And so my recommendation would be not to find the motivation itself, but just to go through the motions and do the things you're supposed to for right now. And what I found with my anxiety and me just kind of being in a malaise in life is that if you press forward and you just take care of the obligations and you do the things that you know you're supposed to be doing, anxiety and depression, they hate that shit. Like, what anxiety and depression really want you to do is they want you to curl up in a ball and sit on your couch for 6 weeks just being miserable. Anxiety, depression, that is anxiety, depression's goal. If you think of it as a little monster, that's its end game, is to get you to do nothing at all. And doing something is anathema to both anxiety and depression. And so you need to go through the motions, and while you're doing that, you need to find yourself a hobby. Find something you enjoy that you can dive into a little bit. I don't know if you have savings, I don't know if you have money right now, but to me this would seem like the perfect time to maybe like work part-time. You said you wanted to do YouTube, maybe do YouTube part-time, do some things that you enjoy, because it sounds like you're in a dark place right now, and I don't know your financial or fiscal situation, so obviously ignore if financially this is not an option, but still, find something that you enjoy, whether it's books, literature, movies. Find something to dive into that will fill in the empty space, that will occupy your mind a little bit. Maybe start working out. I found that for me personally, working out and physical activity are like, oh my god, they are like a lantern that dispels the darkness. Like if I'm in a shitty mood and I go out and I work out hella hard, I don't know what it is, but when I get back, I just feel good after like a really hard hour of just like burning it up on a weight bench or just going for a really, really hard run that's like 5 or 7 miles. I feel great after I get back. And so that would be another thing, is aside from finding hobbies and just going through the motions with your, official life, in your free time, I found that just like general activity will help get rid of that. And you got to find something that you enjoy. For me, it's working out. I love running. I love athletics. I love, lifting weights. And for me, that really sort of seems to get rid of that darkness for me. Like, I still feel anxious. I still feel depressed a lot. But it seems to be like a torch to get me through when it's the darkest. And so I would say you want to look for things like that that'll get you through the times. And then once you go through the motions and you find the little things that'll act as a crutch for the parts of your life you don't like so much, you'll find that you'll have a little bit of extra time and a little bit of just extra breathing room in your mentality to start looking for the bright side of things. And that's where you'll start to find the motivation. It'll all start to come together. So for me, I guess I would say my motivation when I'm feeling depressed and anxious is just knowing that if I don't do the things that I need to do, the depression and the anxiety win. And so think about it in an adversarial sense. Think of depression as anxiety as two little dudes that don't want you to succeed in life, and just give them the middle finger, just be like, fuck you, don't let them have it, and just go do the things you're supposed to do, go do the things that you want to do, and I promise that motivation will start to come back once you realize that depression and anxiety aren't looming over you like a wet blanket all the time. Hope that helps, I don't know. Final question. Ben Farr asks, hey, what are your views regarding gun laws in the United States? I come from England, where it's illegal to obtain a gun and the general attitude towards possessing them is frowned upon. I just wondered what your personal views are towards them. And so, as a realist, I look at the gun control problem in the United States, and I really just sort of scratch my head, and I don't have a solution for it. I think we have a gun culture. We have a lot of guns in circulation. We have a very, very lively NRA lobby. We have a gun culture that doesn't want to give up the guns either. I think that that's the other thing, and it's just sort of, how do you fix something that is so far gone at this point, I think, becomes my question. And I do think that gun control is fairly sensible in the modern generation. I think that I would vote for it and be on the side of it. But as of yet, I haven't seen anybody that's come up with a real solution for how it's actually going to be enacted. And so, as a progressive, I'm like, yeah, I think gun control is a good idea. And I wish that the solution they had in England would work here. However, looking and knowing my countrymen and knowing the place where I live and having lived here my entire life, nobody has ever really produced a strategy that I'm like, huh, that would work. Every single strategy I've seen so far has just been like, well, but there's this problem, this problem, this problem. Basically, you're just shifting the goalposts around, and people are going to get guns this way instead of this way, or you're just going to have major social upheaval on your hands. I mean, it's just kind of a messy situation. Really, really messy situation. I don't really know what to tell you other than that. I mean, I guess that would be my final line, is that, like, I'm a liberal. I'm a pretty bleeding heart liberal, actually, and I don't regret saying that on camera. You're free to disagree with me. That's fine. People can have different viewpoints on the world, and I'm not going to argue with you or try and convince you. That's fine. You're not going to convince me. I'm not going to convince you. Let's just have an amicable relationship. However, I will say that as a progressive liberal, I've yet to see any gun control thing that to me seemed realistic. Like, I'm like, that's totally gonna work. And so in general, I think it's kind of one of those hopeless situations that I'm not even sure how to approach it. Anyways, that's gonna be the end of our talk here. My name is Splattercat. This is our Q&A. If you wanted to support the channel, all the links down below will help you do that. Be sure to check out all the stuff we got going on. Lots and lots of things happening. Lots and lots of things happening. We're gonna be circulating in a lot of short series in between here and the next couple weeks, because there's not any big releases coming out. Most of the games that I'm gonna be playing can be beaten in like 3 to 4 days. And so, I'm sorry, 3 to 4 play sessions. And so, we're going to be cycling through series pretty quickly right now. So, I'm going to get my bike shorts on. I will see you all later. Thank you for stopping by for the next Q&A. Hi, do everybody, and I'll see you next time.